Ankita works as a data analyst programmer at Freudenberg Battery Power Systems. She's been actively involved with the data science community and would like to contribute and learn more from this amazing platform. She's taken part in WIDS almost every year. However, this year, she did something even more special. She took part in the Datathon as well. It was an incredible learning experience. She's also one of the co-organizers and host of the Metro Detroit Women in Machine Learning and Data Science Initiative. Ankita's workshop is entitled Sentiment Analysis, Customer Survey Questions. Thank you again to Ankita for joining us today. We're looking forward to your workshop, and let us begin. Welcome, Ankita.
Thank you so much, Vivek, for that wonderful introduction. I am very much honored to be here. Every year I kind of take part in WIDS, and this is very close to my heart of what I do at my work as well as for my passion. So before I dive into the workshop, I would like to know a little bit about the audience so that I know how I can tailor my workshop and that it can help everybody and we all can learn in this interactive session. So if you can quickly put in the chat that what is your level of expertise in natural language processing, text mining, data science, that would be great. You can just put in the chat that you are intermediate, beginner, experts. So, okay. All right, great. We're getting in all the responses, maybe intermediate, beginner, intermediate, beginner. Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you so much. That gives me an idea of on how to drive this entire session. I will try to keep it as simple as possible. But if I go into deep down, there are codes that I have written that you guys can use later on. I have slides as well, which will direct to the data source, and you can play around with it. And yeah, I won't be that chatty, so I will take all the questions later on. But let me start sharing my the slides here. So I will give a brief introduction on what I'm trying to do or how I'm trying to drive this workshop, and then we can eventually dive into the other intricacies here. 1 second. Okay, so I will give a brief overview of how we are going to drive the workshop today in terms of sentiment analysis using customer survey data, a brief overview on the key topics of how to do sentiment analysis using textual survey data from the customer, how to understand and where to go deep dive in. If you would like to, I have the scripts ready. You can run at your own time or play around with it, whatever you feel like. And then maybe open it for a little bit of Q&A session so that it's a little interactive for all of us. And I understand that whether you guys are able to understand or not. So that will give me a feedback that how I'm performing in that sense. And yeah, so let's get started. So this was a project when I did as my co-op internship when I was working at DT Energy here in Michigan. It was done in 2019, so a lot of libraries got changed, and due to the NDA that I have filed, I have signed with my previous company, I won't be able to share the findings, but I will go into the details of or provide you a blueprint with how to get started with text mining, sentiment analysis, and or natural language processing. For the purpose of this workshop, I have used R as a language. You guys are open to use whichever language you want to use. It's pretty much language agnostic. And because the goal is to solve the problem, really. So I would go in a little bit of details on how to set up the directory and everything eventually. So the goal here is to understand that when we are asking customers that how we are doing, what we are doing, and how can we improve ourselves, the questions and the answers that we are getting is in text format. So maybe as a product company, I mean, currently I'm working on a product company, but I'm not going to go into those details again. But as a business group, as a business owner, or as whatever project or whatever problems you're trying to solve, when we are hearing from the customers, it's so overwhelming that we don't really understand that where it's coming from, how can we analyze, how can we mine so much of documentation, so much of text. So sometimes it's better to get a direction that, okay, where this sentiments is going, right? What are our customers saying and how can we improve? So these were the two questions that I kind of picked up, that how are we doing well? And if we are doing well, how can we do more well? Or where would you guys like to see us in the future? I have used, as I told, that I have used language R for this particular workshop. You can download R. If you don't have R at your end, you can download it from this link. I'm not going to click the link right now. Now I will back and forth jump between the RMD files like the R Studio, the codes, and the presentation, just to make sure that we are in a pace where we all can learn together and have an interactive session that way. So the data source that I picked up for this particular project in order to replicate what I did previously is from Kaggle. It's available at this link. Is my mouse visible, or is it just visible to me? Probably I can't.
It's visible.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then a little bit of setting up the data source into the directory, and then how you can install the packages, the libraries that we are going to use for sentiment analysis using natural language processing in R. I have also showed it in the GUI section, how you can install packages, or you can write one line of code in order to do that. All right, before I jump into the code, let me summarize what all steps I'm going to do. So imagine that you are asking survey questions for your customers, or the intention of your main goal is to do text mining with the survey question and answers that you are getting from your customers, and you would like to know that what are they saying? Like, are they going into a positive direction, negative direction, or in a neutral direction? So that you can improvise yourself, you can improvise your products, you can improvise your services, you can come up with better solutions. So you can do so many things, right? Now, as I mentioned earlier, it is not possible to go through each and everyone's review or I guess the survey question and answers, right? So as a holistic approach, how can we get started? So the data that we got in is, for example, it's in a text format. I picked up the similar data from Kaggle, which is the reviews from the different customers. They are providing feedback for the products that they have bought from Amazon. So the first step is the data cleaning, right? The data comes in whatever format, it's a mess. And so I would say 80% of the time, I would recommend cleaning the data so that you don't go back and forth in between your analysis, text mining, and the sentiment analysis that you would like to see from your project. So these are the different steps that you would like to go through first. We would first clean the data set, convert all of the letters into smaller case, and then remove punctuations, remove some of the stop words. Now, in this case, the language was English. If it's in French, if it's in Chinese, or in any other language, you can change it too by removing the stop words. Stop words are basically, for example, the interjections, the conjunctions, the prepositions. These are the stop words. For example, I am presenting at Wit's workshop. In this whole sentence, there is I, there is am, in. These are the stop words. So if I am saying, I'm probably presenting the same thing in different ways. If I am saying in this way, probably Amy would say it in a different way. So the essence is to understand that what these two people are talking about and remove those connecting words, so we can understand that what deep down we are talking, what just by the keywords. And then we would stem the document. Stemming is again chopping down the end words like adjective, adverbs. For example, stemming itself is a stem words, because if the word is just stem, so MING will be cut down from the entire corpus. I will use the term data frame, corpus, and metrics intermittently. So just as you know, those of you already know it. Probably I don't have to explain it because you guys know and you're expert. But for those, all of us, like all of us who have started, for them, it's corpus is nothing but a bunch of text documents smashed or mashed in together so that we can do our further analysis. So just remember that I would use these three terms intermittently within the whole workshop, that data frame, corpus, and term document metrics. The next step, we would like to see that what are the frequency of the words that are coming up in this particular corpus. Like how many times a particular word is appearing. So that way you would understand that what is your customer talking about, or what are the reviewers talking about, and what kind of words you would like to see and you would like to not see, right? Sometimes it's easier to filter with which you don't want to see, and that would help you focus on what you want to see. If you have multiple questions, then I would recommend doing a comparison of those corpuses, so as you know that where is the variance, what are the different, what are people talking about the same product or different product, or and then compare them together in order to see that what is the direction where we are going. And next, we would come down to the correlation analysis, where we would see that how many times a particular word is appearing within that corpus. For example, the word phone, the word service, the word customer, how many times and what are the different words that are associated. For example, customer could have been associated with satisfaction. Customer could have been used with great. Customer could have been used with service. Customer could be used with number. So all of these different words, what are the correlation? That would give an idea that how many times those words are particularly appearing in our corpuses, and how we can do the sentiment analysis based on that. Finally, we will use the library sentiment analysis in order to see that in which direction we are going within the corpus, like whether we are going in positive, negative, or neutral direction. And in that way, we would like to kind of come to a little bit of conclusion that this is where the whole corpus of the sentiment is kind of getting directed. And finally, we will also see the dendrograms, or which is more of a reducing the dimension of the whole corpus using hierarchical clustering, where you can literally cut the tree or apply hierarchical clustering algorithms to deep dive into the sentences which are appearing within your corpus. Like different words can appear in different sentences, and when you cut down a particular tree in a particular way, it would show you that these are the sentences appearing in your entire corpus. I have put this take home as emotional analysis, because sentiment analysis is just the direction. It's positive, negative, neutral. The neutral part is a gray part, right? We don't really know. It's like, what is neutral? Now, for example, in this particular case, emotional analysis might help in understanding what is the emotion of the customer. For example, if they are providing feedback for a product for this particular data set, then you would like to probably know that the emotions are like happy, sad, anger, joy, anticipation, fear, and so you can literally deep dive into those. I have left some of the codes in there and used the library. It's a new library that came up in that has been developed at Stanford. Again, I just saw it a few days back, but I haven't used it, so it's open for you to use. And next, I will jump into the code here. Is it visible, my RStudio library, or no?
Yes, it's visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, perfect. So this is an IDE where I have played with this particular data set. It's up to you, whichever IDE you are comfortable with. I would recommend highly to do that. Those who are intermediate, you can, if you have R, I would recommend you can follow along with me, or if not, that is fine, because I will share all of these later on with the workshop and how to set it up, and you guys can play around it in your own free time. So this is my data that I have downloaded from Amazon, and this is the RDE. This is R markdown files. You can create new files from here. This is my environment, where when I load all the data and everything, it will be visible right in here in the environment section, which is showing as empty. All right, let's install all the libraries right now. Now I have already installed libraries beforehand, so it might not be like too much intuitive. And then you can set the, I already set the directory right in here. In the next step, we would read this particular data file and we will start cleaning the data file. So now, right now, you can see that this is my data frame, which I'm going to use in this case. This gives me a sneak peek of the idea that what are the different columns that we have in this data set. This one also gives a particular name of the columns that are there within this particular data set. Now I will convert it into a corpus. As I mentioned, that corpus is nothing but a smashed version of all the text documents or all the data frame that has been that I'm trying to analyze. You can ignore the warning section for now. So now I'll convert them into lowercase. This all got converted into lowercase. Now I'll remove the stop words. And you will see that here, I mean, I guess I don't know if you guys notice the stop words getting removed, but I know it did get removed. If you do it at your end, you will see it again. And then I'm going to remove the numbers. Right now, there is no number. I mean, we can't see numbers here. Then we will remove the specific context word. Sometimes I just typed in this context specific words randomly because I thought that this is from Amazon. So probably people might type in Amazon or Amazon just by mistake or whatever, or in whatever way they might. So it's a good idea to do that. And then we will stem the document. I don't think I have removed the punctuation. Yeah. Once I remove the punctuation, you see that the comma got removed. In this one, now I would like to see that what are the customers talking about, or what are the reviewers? Not in this case, I guess, yeah, customer reviewers. What are they talking about? So in this case, mostly I can see that, okay, they're talking about hardware stuff. Probably they bought some portable music, phone never skip beats. So probably they're talking about some file transfer issues, SanDisk. So it gives you a very top level overview of what the reviewers are talking about. So in that case, I have an idea in mind that, okay, fine, these are the customer reviews. So let's dive into or make it into a matrix format where I can do a little bit of deep dive analysis. Now in this part, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to convert my corpus into a matrix format where term document matrix is all the terms that are appearing in my corpus is represented in the row format, and the documents are represented in columns. So imagine if you are using Excel, like a row and column, it's pretty much the same thing, just the term document matrix and document term matrix are used intermittently. It's just a transpose of, like, term document matrix is a transpose of document term matrix. So I'll come back to it later, but let's dive into here that and see that what are the keywords that are being used. So this gives an idea of what are the top 20 keywords that are particularly used in this corpus. And then we can visualize in a bar plot, seeing that what is the trend, like which way the customers are talking about, what they are talking about. And then depending on your business case or depending on where you would like to focus on your analysis, on your text mining, you can focus on those parts and deep dive and understand that where it's going. Another way of visualizing it, the words are using word clouds. I have specifically used this kind of visualization to see it. Sometimes it's easy to see that, okay, what are they talking about? Like, it seems most of them are talking about some card, phone, tablet, great, Samsung. So it gives an easy understanding for our eyes to see that, okay, this is what it's happening. And then maybe I'm done with 100 keywords. I want to see that what are the top 50, because I would like to narrow it down with my analysis. Now I know these are some of the words that are used. It might be helpful to know that what are the words that are using together. Like, for example, as a bigram, diagram, which is more of a tokenization. Tokenization is a process where I am trying to understand that, okay, within my corpus, what are the two words that are coming together? So if you see here, I see that, okay, Galaxy S3, Galaxy S4, micro SD card, Samsung Galaxy, people are talking about this kind of stuff. Now, as I proceed with increasing my grams, like the words tokenization, you would see it's inversely proportional to the number of words that are appearing in my corpus, which kind of helps in narrowing down my analysis a little bit and focus on the words or the tokens that are kind of appearing all the time within the corpus. So the next step, I'll see the trigram as well. A very interesting point here, I saw that Galaxy Note 2, if you see this one, oops. Galaxy Note 2 and Galaxy Note 2. These two are these are probably like seeing to me as a layman or as a layperson, to me, it looks like they're talking about the same thing, pretty much the same thing. Galaxy Note 2, Galaxy Note Roman 2, probably they are representing it in different ways, just like how I may represent one of my emotions with one product might be different from another person, but we might be talking about the same, pretty much same thing. So these kind of things will appear probably in your data set too. Just be mindful that you might need to combine them together. I did not do it in here. And then I wanted to see that, okay, if they are talking about Galaxy Note 2, what is that Galaxy Note 2? So I saw that, okay, they're talking about the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. So these kind of analysis might help you understanding that, okay, what are the customers are talking about, or where would you like to focus your analysis into? In the next step, I have done some form of, again, visualization to see what are the different frequency of the words. These kind of helps to understand that what are the words that I might have missed in my, as I am trying to remove data set, what are the different words that I'm kind of missing. So that this would give a top overview again of maybe I want to focus on only these part, like the words which are probably appearing more than 600 times, or maybe only the till here I would like to see. So all of these gives a better way of understanding. It's just another way of representing the data or visualizing the data. Then I wanted to see that maybe for some people I might not be, this is for my overall understanding that what's happening. And then again, I would like to see in a better way. So you can plot it in, I have used ggplot library for all the plotting in here, just to see that, okay, for the bigrams, what are for SD card 690 terms, probably it appeared in my corpus. And this gives an idea that where and how I would like to drive my analysis. Similarly for the trigram in the same way. And that when I, like, one interesting thing to note is the moment I have, like, as you keep on tokenizing the words, you would see, or putting in bigrams, trigrams, or fourgrams, you would see that the number of words are getting reduced, and that might give an interesting insight or direction on which way you would like to go. So far, is it understandable? Like, if it yes, no, or am I going too fast, too slow? It would be helpful for me to, because I think I'm 20 minutes into the presentation. Okay, I just saw one yes, that works. Okay, so next, now that we know that what are the different words that are appearing within the corpus, I would like to see that I would go back to my document term matrix, which I have already created before. Remember, document term matrix is a transpose of term document matrix, where the documents are represented on rows and terms are represented on the columns. So I would like to see what are the frequent terms probably that are appearing within the corpus with a correlation limit of maybe 0.25, or you can put it in any number you would like to see. When I put in this number, it gives me a correlation of each of the words that are appearing 600 times within my corpus, which is less than, which is equal to or greater than 0.25. That might help me in understanding that, okay, these are the different words which are probably associated with this particular keyword. For example, if you see card has been associated with file probably 44 times or 44% of the times. Phone restart 42% of the time. Problem today 40, disappearing 40, disappointing, I don't know, disappointing December or something. I don't know what that means. Probably they bought it in December on some what is that word, like discount, probably something going on in the, like, you will see those kind of words, and you can derive or drive the direction of your analysis based on that. So this is just gives you a top overview of how you could actually drive your text mining and sentiment analysis. I see a question. Should we take the question, or we can take it later?
So Ankita, typically you could go through the presentation and take it later, or if you'd like to pause now. So it's up to you. but we can
Okay.
continue if that helps out schedule-wise.
All right. Yeah, maybe I'll continue because I have a lot to cover. I'll get back to it once I'm done with this one.
Yes.
Thank you. So next, now I would like to probably use library sentiment analysis and deep dive into the process or seeing that in which direction the reviewers or the customers are talking about, right? So I have used the vector source. I have converted my corpus into a vector source. And what I will do is I will again apply all the different methods of converting it to a lowercase, remove punctuation, remove stop words, and eventually I would fit into the different kinds of dictionary which are already available in the library sentiment analysis and see that how different words which are appearing in my corpus are kind of related to the dictionaries that are available within the library of sentiment analysis. So what I'm doing here is I am picking the corpus, I'm analyzing the sentiment and sending into a data frame as sentiment, where you can see in the environment that I have these many word counts from my corpus, and it kind of gives an idea of the different libraries that are already available within the sentiment analysis library. And based on the direction that you would like to take, or based on the number of correlation or the higher the coefficient is, I would recommend using that particular library in order to match, or most of the words will match from that library, so that you can go ahead and perform your analysis. So usually in all of these libraries, there are like positive, negative, and neutral. These are dictionaries which are created, which are already created. Mostly the details of the dictionaries are in the library package of sentiment analysis. I would highly recommend to go through that library documentation, because sometimes QDAP, for me in my previous study, QDAP worked great. So I used QDAP, but then later on I saw that GI has a higher coefficient too. So I would also recommend to use probably GI, QDAP in the combination, or just see that which library is giving you the optimal results. We don't want to see like too much positive, too much negative, too much neutral, but we want to see that what's actually happening here, or how deep we want to go with our sentiment analysis. That is also another point. Now, I wanted to see once I know that, okay, I'm using QDAP for the purpose of this workshop. I have left some of the codes in down below. You can work it out, like in here, the LM dictionary, GI and HE. You can work it out in your own time and play around with the same way and see that how it's performing. The other thing that I wanted to also show is you can change your responses. Now, I know, for example, probably in this particular data set, as I have applied the sentiment dictionary QDAP, I'm getting only positive and neutral, no negative. I might have to be a skeptical little bit that why there is no negative. Probably it didn't catch those words. So this is a good way to do statistical analysis in the text mining, where you can pass on your own values like positive, negative, neutral, and see that how your model is performing. And based on that, you can have your assumption or create or frame a question assumption that, okay, I think this dictionary is more better than that dictionary. Like QDAP is probably performing a little bit less than GI, or so I would recommend to go through these statistics a little bit carefully. You can change your response and see how your actual sentiment based on the response QDAP is kind of changing. Response QDAP is actually, I am kind of seeing the sentiment analysis of my corpus extracted from the sentiment QDAP dictionary, and I am kind of comparing with random positive, negative, and neutral values. You can change these numbers and see how it gives you different results, right? And then maybe you can plot your overall sentiment analysis response based on the feedback that you have provided, like positive, negative, neutral. For me, I have given +1. +1 means positive feedback, 0 means neutral, -1 means negative. And then I can plot it against the sentiment analysis that I have done with respect to the dictionary QDAP and see that how it's performing. Because I have just given 1, 0, so it's pretty much it's straight line. So it's very easy to kind of understand in that way. Now here, as I said, here you would see that because this is the response QDAP is my response of my sentiment analysis direction from the corpus that I have taken and applied the dictionary of QDAP and seeing where is it going. However, the response all is the data that I have provided, +1, -0. That is why it's 1, 0, minus. It has 3 levels. And this one is just positive and neutral because in the previous case, we saw that we are just getting those 2 responses. And next we would plot it and see that that most of them are, when I'm using dictionary QDAP, they are going in these 2 directions, positive and neutral. I'm not going to run this chunk of code because I'll leave it for you guys to do it. Next, I will show briefly about how to do when I am doing sentiment analysis using the corpus only. Now, when I'm using just the corpus, it means I'm using the entire corpus. I'm just not only using the columns where people are entering the text. I'm using everything, like as a holistic overview, that what everything inside that, and I'm transforming and I'm applying the different libraries and seeing that what are the responses and in my corpus, and I am comparing with the values that I am giving. I'm trying to fit into those values, and I'm seeing that in these different dictionaries, for example, this one is QDAP, this one is LM, this one is GI, and this one is HE. I'm trying to see that which dictionary will fit best to my model. Now, based on whichever fits your case, I would recommend to pick up that dictionary, or I would say that play around with all the dictionaries and see which one is best for you, because we never know. Sometimes we change direction and every time, and we would find some more insights in one dictionary than other dictionary, right? We always have to be a little bit investigative about that one. And then you see that if I am using the corpus, I'm getting a little bit of negative here as well, because probably most of the negative words are not used in this data set. That's why we are not getting it. And sometimes so what happens is when I am converting it to a vector or corpus, it gets direction. It gets some tokenized direction within the library of sentiment analysis. So if it is 0, if I'm getting any documents which are probably towards 0, sometimes those are also counted as positive instead of neutral. So that could be the case as well, just like we saw in the above case, like the neutral is more higher than positive. So this gives a little bit of overview on which direction the whole corpus or the whole data set is getting towards. Now, I think I'm at 30 minutes mark. Should we start I've talked so much. I would like to know that whether it was helpful or not. Should we start a little bit of question answer session?
So,
the
Ankita,
poll with the Kahoot. Is it okay or?
so it is up to you, Ankita. In terms of your presentation, you could go until 11:45 a.m. Eastern time, so you would have 6 more
Okay.
minutes, or this is your presentation. So whatever feels right for you, we'll definitely support
I
your
have
decision.
another this one to show. So
Okay.
maybe how about I do this and then go on to the Kahoot? Will that be okay?
So that's one option. There's also where I see a few questions in the Q&A panel. So it's up to you. I think that, yeah, we'd like to see what else you'd like to show us, and then we can check back in again in 5 more minutes at 11:45 a.m. Eastern time.
Okay, let's do that then.
Okay.
Thank you. So now that I hope we have a little bit of idea on which direction we are going with the sentiment analysis, I did not show there are other different ways to analyze the data, right? To proceed with the text mining process. So I will first clean my environment so that I can show that what is going on here. So in this case, what I'm going to do is, again, I will make sure that I'm installing all the libraries. I'm reading the data file, the same data file. I am doing all the transformation, text processing, post-processing, removing the punctuation, removing stop words, numbers, context-specific words. Again, if you already know that which words you are kind of getting all the time, I would highly recommend to use those. You can also use a function. I have not used any complicated script here, pretty much simple one-liner. You can play around with it. You can create your own function. And also you can create your own dictionary. Like you can pass on your own dictionary of words, which you know that these words are constantly appearing in my survey questions, or these are the words that my customers or our reviewers are talking about. So that also gives a fair idea of where it is going. All right, so here I have shown in a different way of how you can also play around with the term document metrics. What I have done is, instead of showing them as each frequency of the each words, I have summed them up, counted all the different words which are constantly appearing in the term document metrics. So you would see that it's easier in a when I'm plotting or when I'm doing a little bit of more analysis, which I'll show in the next part soon, that you can understand that what are the different words that are appearing in my corpuses, and particularly in a sentence. Like if I am using those words in a sentence, how closely those words are getting used in one sentence or next sentence. For example, I might be talking about a product. In this case, maybe I'm talking about a phone or Samsung. In the same way, some other person might be talking about the same product in a different way. So we are talking about the same product, but the way I am expressing is a little bit different but from the other person. So this this is the process of hierarchical clustering, where I'm using the hierarchical clustering algorithm to see that which words are appearing in my sentences, and from which part of the sentences is coming from, and how I can cut if I'm cutting, if it's a whole corpus, from which end I should cut the document in order to see that the association of those words in a particular corpus. So to do that, the first thing that we should do is sparsity, to check the sparsity of the term document metrics, which means that we should not have any zero values in the document. In this case, the sparsity was pretty good, like 7518 out of 7518, which means I have no non-zero, no zero values within my term document metrics, which is like ideal, but in real world, you will have to do that. So I have also put the code right in here. You can put your term document metrics or your document term metrics in order to do that. And next, I would show a little bit of dimension reduction using hierarchical clustering. You can play around with it. There are different methods of doing it, like complete, average, single, and word D2. It will take some time, but it would show you that how you can actually use this algorithm of hierarchical clustering and the different methods to see the distance between the different clusters within your document. For example, complete will give you like what are the words that are separate, like far away from each other. That will give you that idea. Average will average the clusters and give you a sample average of the clusters where they are located from. Single will cause probably single distance element, and word D mostly reduces the variance within the cluster. So just play around with it and see that how different it's coming for your text mining, or where the different words are coming for your sentiment analysis, for your natural language processing project or problem that you are trying to solve. Now, in this case, I see that like I kind of like that from. Again, I'm using here agglomerative. There is agglomerative, and there is also divisive clustering method. So I'm just going to show a very top level overview. And I decided to cut the tree at 30 level. You can change it to 40, 20, and see that what are the different words that are appearing, which are far away from each other. So we didn't see these words appearing at all in the correlation, or the correlation was very, very low. So this gives an idea of the words that we have probably missed in our correlation analysis, and helps you see that did I miss anything which is important. So this kind of analysis helps in that again. I would recommend that. I have used complete just to see that what are the words in a sentence that I'm missing. Go ahead and use with average, single, and word D when I'll be sharing this one, and see that how your analysis is getting driven. Next, it's I wanted to show it in a little bit better way rather than this one, to see that what are the different words that are constantly probably appearing in a sentence. For example, in this one, I have cut the tree at 500 level, and I wanted to see the top 40 words that are appearing in the sentence. So if you see just problem, Samsung bought, so probably in this sentence or similar kind of sentences, people are talking about something that they had problem by when they bought Samsung. I don't know what kind of problem, I don't know yet. Now in this one also, like they're talking about something problem. So these two got into one cluster, and probably they're coming from another cluster on upper level, which might give a different direction that what those customers are talking about. And you can literally cut in different zone, different trees to understand that from where these voices are coming, right? Because sometimes it's not possible to go into each level, but this kind of things helps in understanding that, okay, fast, can, good price, speed. So probably they're talking about that they were happy with it, like, right? Like just an overall understanding that, okay, this is what it's happening. Here I have left this script. I have commented this one for you guys to play at later on, because I don't think I'll be able to cover so much in a 1 hour workshop. And I also wanted it to be a little bit interactive, so we can interact and learn from each other. And the last one is this library of SUSET, which it has also 4 sentiment dictionaries, just like sentiment analysis library in natural language processing. It is a new library which has been developed at Stanford. So I did not get a chance to use it, but I would like to use it. And so in this one, I saw that instead of 3 direction in sentiment analysis, like positive, negative, neutral, it has 4 different elements of emotions, like happy, sad, joy, trust, surprise, sadness, fear, disgust, along with the 2 other sentiments like positive and negative. So instead of just giving positive, negative, neutral, maybe you could do emotional analysis. So to understand that when the customers are buying the product, what are their emotions behind it? Or are they happy with the product? How are we doing as a product company? So I would highly recommend doing that as well. You can also pass on the words that you would like to see that are highly correlated, which probably you already know the words. Maybe you have seen those words coming up in your business group, or whichever direction you want to go. You can see that, you can play around with it, and then I would recommend convert it into a vector source and plot them in a different ways to see what are the emotions that are associated with this behind these words. So I think I covered pretty much everything. The sentiment analysis and emotional analysis part of it. I did not show how to do emotional analysis. I've just shown the library that I would like to use later on, but you guys can use it too in your free time or whenever you want to do it. Whenever this, I will share this R&D file and the HTML file as well. So that concludes my demo on the live code.
So first, thank you very much, Ankita, for your presentation. A lot of people through their comments in the chat or through the Q&A panel are very excited about what you presented. So thank you, first of all. And speaking of interacting with the audience and, checking in with them, we have quite a few questions. So just to help set expectations, we have about 11 minutes left for this particular workshop session. So within that time, we'll try to answer a few questions, but also some of the questions may be answered later on in the chat or otherwise. So I'm going to pick a few questions related to what was just presented. And I'm also trying to monitor both the Q&A panel and the chat. So try to look at both. So directly from the Q&A panel, we have the following question. So thank you for introducing all of the technical parts of the analysis. What are the insights/business recommendations drawn from this analysis?
I would say it depends how you would like to know. For me, in my previous organization, I was trying, or we were trying to see how we can improve more, how we are doing better, where we can do better, and what are, why is our customer satisfied? And if not, why? Like, we were trying to understand the why and the how question. These are the two questions we were trying to get into the depth of the analysis and see that based on that and based on other evidences, this was just because these came in the form of text data, right? Like when we are asking questions, that question in survey questions, it's like people are, even when I submit survey questions, just randomly typing, and it's hard to sometimes understand that what are their goals, why are they saying this, or whether it is coming from a genuine interest. Sometimes we just fill in up just to fill up the gap. So have to be a little bit mindful of that kind of responses as well before jumping into conclusions. That is why I would say having an investigative mindset is very, very important towards if you are doing this kind of analysis. Like be skeptical on your own analysis, I would say, and build up your own assumptions that, okay, this is the words that I'm seeing. What is the probability that these are the same words, and what is the statistical correlation between these words, or how much should I trust my assumptions, or how should I build my assumption test? So build up all those questions based on the evidence, like I would say data, derive those decision from the data, and then you can have a little bit of more idea on which direction you would like to go in terms of conducting your text mining or your sentiment analysis using natural language processing.
Yes, so Ankita, just to add to this, I mean, one of the items is as a part of the theme that Ankita highlights is I don't think we can definitely get those recommendations in isolation just from the output of NLP. It's in conjunction with some additional analysis. So Ankita highlighted that, and that's definitely the case with a number of, I think, natural language processing applications. I know this from my own work and definitely others. So thank you, Ankita. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a few other questions. So here's another question. What is the difference between topic modeling and clustering techniques?
Very interesting question. I would say topic modeling probably is more on you are relating on the topic. For example, in this case, I know the topic is probably people are talking about devices, hard disk, phone, memory card, and all that stuff. And clustering analysis is more probably similar, but a little bit probably different in terms of what are the different clusters that are associated in my corpus. But I could be wrong as well, because I feel like these two are probably very close and very similar. And I have done clustering analysis to understand like what are my clusters in a particular sentence, like from which sentence it's coming, and what is the variance of the cluster in my sentence. Like if people are talking about phone, memory card, and SD card, what is the variance that these are the same things that people are talking about in the different corpus? So that kind of helps in clustering analysis, but I'm kind of little like I'm not 100% sure that what topic modeling will be in terms of clustering analysis. So yeah, great question. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't know.
So here's one item that I know I've seen, myself and others use related to clustering analysis in general at a high level. So you have raw data and you want to know what are the groupings of the data. So, at a high level, you have your clustering analysis. But with topic modeling, one of the items related to topic modeling is the fact that they occur in a collection of documents, and, we're using text mining in order to get to these topics. Some people have the idea that with using topic modeling, is there some underlying connection to these topics? Is it related to some sort of, supervised approach? Some people think that way. So I think that, you know, I at a very high level, I think there are a lot of ways of thinking about the differences between those topics, but I feel for a lot of clustering analysis, we're trying to see from those sets of values, that data, what are these groupings? And then, we could move on and do further analysis. And there's some level of overlap, but with topic modeling, you tend to have unstructured data as well to help out with trying to group together a lot of topics. So there's definitely a lot of overlap. But in terms of highlighting the differences, we can definitely do more follow-up if we needed to. So that's helpful.
Yeah.
And I know time-wise, because I know the next presenter will be on soon, and I'm going through a lot of questions. So Ankita, you did get quite a few questions, and let me continue with the next question. So here is one item. It's going to start out with a few comments. So thank you for sharing this presentation. This is my first experience with R. The person downloaded R Studio and before you started and now have a better understanding of what they can do with the tool. Also, listening has provided me with the considerations one could/would make in sentiment analysis based on the customer survey. This was great for me as a beginner. So I wanted to give you that appreciation and point that out. So that's one item. And then on that note, so a lot of people learned quite a bit of information. And a question that came up was, how can we learn more background information, more theoretical information related to sentiment analysis? Do you have any resources that you recommend that you may go and share with the audience?
Yes, I have all the resources in my slides. I would highly recommend to read if you are doing, and I saw a question right now in the chat that somebody asked, can we use the same analysis using Python codes? Yes, totally. You can do the same thing, same library, just a different tool. It's a tool agnostic analysis. So whichever language you are comfortable with, just go ahead and use it. Before using any library, highly recommended, go through the library a little bit more. Most of the libraries are very document intensive, so you can actually play around with it, have their own data, or come up with your own data and play around with it and see how it is behaving before you deep dive into anything. The first and foremost is reading the library a little bit more, and there are n number of online resources. There is also Hugging Face is coming up with a lot of different ways to do natural language processing, particularly in case of creating an app in using Python. So literally you can have an app built in few line of codes. You can do that. You can also use Vladir sentiment. There is another one where if people are using a lot of emojis or emoticons in a text file, you can actually analyze those emoticons in terms of your sentiment analysis or emotional analysis for text mining process. There is also other large language models coming up, right? Like it's an ocean right now. It's a beast. Everything in the realm of natural language processing. You can in Google, I know particularly they have MakerSuite where you can plug in your text file and you can run text on a GUI platform and run the analysis. And it would not only summarize the entire document for you, it would also give you the direction that whether it is positive, negative, neutral. So the realm is pretty huge right now. So everything I will share in the slides, so which will be probably available after the workshop today.
And with that, thank you so much, Ankita, for sharing your knowledge with us. And we're looking forward to getting access to the resources. And thank you so much for joining us today.